Back behind me is a set of pine trees. I'm hoping to collect some fatwood. I haven't done it before, so it'll be a learning experience, but it seems pretty straightforward. Well, I think I found a good tree down this way. Let's go take a look. So we got this branch right here. It's definitely not the biggest, about maybe 3/4 to an inch in diameter. I'm going to try to baton through it back here where it meets the trunk, and supposedly that's where all the fatwood is. So we'll give it a shot. I think it's a good piece. It's nice and dark red with a real smooth feel to it. So I think that's all the resin collected right down at the base. So I'll go around and see if I can find any more and try to get a nice big pile just in case. I wanted to show you guys this. This is just chipping right into it, but just full of fatwood right here. So this branch will definitely be a lot better. It's about 2 inches in diameter. So yeah, about 4 feet off the ground, which kind of surprised me, but I guess all the resin is draining down right into that branch and coming back. All right, I'll chop it down then. So there's the stone that I want to use as the backdrop. I figure I can put my fire right down at its base. Obviously clean out all the brush around it, so we do want to make it as safe as possible. Okay, well, I wanted to have the fire closer on, up towards that stone, but I don't think I'm going to be able to get it just because that's small floral roses and they are such a pain to get moved. So I'm going to go ahead and just pull the fire out a little bit closer, I guess further away from the stone. Shouldn't be that big of a deal. Besides the fatwood that I gathered earlier, here's the only three items that I brought along with me in order to start the fire. So I have my outdoor knife, my bushcraft knife. It's modeled after the Woodlore. So I have that. My camper. So it's a bit bigger. So I'm really interested to see how it's going to baton through a bunch of material. And then I do have a fire steel, so a ferro rod. So real curious how well this will work and if I'm even good enough to get a fire going. So all right, yeah, I'm gonna run around and gather up some brush and some kindling and some bigger pieces of wood to hopefully get a fire going. Well, I got some smaller stuff right off the get-go. Cherry and cherry. I'm not sure what the other wood is, but I was told that if it snaps like that, and you can hear it snap, it makes the sound of a fire, that it's dry enough to make a fire. So I'll go ahead and break up this stuff, make a little pile, try to separate them out as best as I can into different diameters. Obviously you want to start at the smallest and then work your way up as you're feeding the flames. So I got a wide variety of different grasses, so I think that there should be plenty here in order to catch that spark. This camp knife has a saber grind to it. But I mean, it seems to be working pretty darn awesome. Doing here is just trying to give a fire a dry base to sit on. So the first thing I want to do is try to get at this fatwood. I have my forearm resting against my knee, and I'm actually pulling the fatwood, and it seems to be working pretty well as far as cleaning off all the bark. Right there's that fatwood right there. So a couple of these pieces I'm definitely going to want to save. Now that's debarked, I have a lot more control of actually pushing the knife. And of course, I have no clue how much of this stuff I need. I mean, this snow is awesome. It's going to be horrible. Trying to work in, but that'll make the reward all the more sweeter. My grasses. First thing I'm going to do is just kind of, I'll try to cut these down. Put them over. But I guess we'll try this. And I think that's pretty common. I'm gonna have to rethink this. Even directing where you want those sparks to go, that's pretty impressive. Maybe that'll help. I just put a fair bit of shavings right there. and try to collect a lot more shavings from the ferro rod. Hopefully that'll do it. We're gonna go back to the Fatwood, and I'm just gonna try to make just tiny little shavings and hope that the resin will be a lot easier to ignite. Here we go. There we go. All right. That's about 2.5 inches in diameter. I have no clue why anybody would need to do this to a knife anyway, but so far there's no edge rolling or chipping. Yeah. Oh. Almost through that knot. So as my sausage finishes cooking, I'll tell you a little bit about the knives I used today. The camp knife, 6.5 inch blade, I believe about 10 inches overall length, 10.5. Osage scales and thong tubes. So thought I'd try something different with it. Lightens it up a little bit, but really you're not going to tell a difference. Nice thing about that is the cordage. You could put cordage on through it and use it as a makeshift spear. The steel's coming is Nitro V, so it's a new steel on the market. I think it's been out for a couple of years now, but not too much is known about it, and I'm just really impressed with how well this stuff is holding up. You saw me earlier beating on all those different woods, and I mean, just still razor sharp. And it's coming in a sheath, a Kydex sheath. The holes, they look a little random, but they are not. they're 1 inch, 1.5 inches, and then 1/2 inch in between. And then that pattern is just repeated as you go down the blade, or down the sheath. And then, so what that does, that allows you to use multiple different carrying options. So this right here is the large tech lock. And you could always throw on the small tech lock as well, which is right here. So that would just utilize the 1 inch holes versus the 1.5 inch holes. So is that 1/8 inch thick steel on this one. And then we also have the Woodlore, which, as you saw, took a beating earlier trying to get that fire started. But this one is a Scandi grind, and I just cannot believe how well that held up. Really impressed. So Nitro V as well, Osage orange handles, 1/8 inch thick. Both the spines are 90 degrees, so to assist with the ferro rod striking. So just really comfortable in the hand. I mean, just a great companion if you're going out into the woods. And then Kydex sheath as well. This one has the dangler attachment. So, but once again, you can use the large tech locks or the small tech locks. Will fit in the holes, the eyelets as well. One other thing I should tell you about the Woodlore, its dimensions. So you got a 5 inch cutting edge on it with an overall length of 9.5 inches. And yeah, once again, 1/8 inch thick steel with the 90 degree spine. Well, my coals have all but burned out, and my sausage is looking pretty done, so I think this is where I'm going to leave you. I had a lot of fun making this video, trying new techniques out and just starting a fire, something that I've never done before. So I hope that you've learned something and got to see what this steel can do as well. So it was a lot of fun making the video. See you next time.